And what's going to happen is now the entire public is going to see what happened.
I think I agree with Candace. I think Ryan got a little controlling and insecure.
To convince the public that the real problem in this lawsuit with Justin Baldoni is actually the fact that he's too positive.
Actress Blake Lively and her actor husband Ryan Reynolds want to keep their messages with seemingly their A-list friends out of the hands of the public.
Full access to what is discoverable between Blake Lively and other celebrities.
Candace Owens retaliates as the legal dispute with Justin Baldoni intensifies. She called it ridiculous to criticize someone for having hope and attacked Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively for pointing the finger at Baldoni's toxic optimism.
Have learned using their former CIA agents, that they've hired them, to convince the public that the real problem in this lawsuit with Justin Baldoni is actually the fact that he's too positive. I gotta tell you, after learning this, reading the articles, reading the deep dive, I am in fact prepared to switch teams. And so I want to show you it. Maybe you're going to feel the exact same way. Check out this headline in the New York Post. This is a real headline. Justin Baldoni accused of toxic positivity by former employees amid Blake Lively lawsuit. And here's a direct quote. "It felt phony." Ooh. Oh, yeah. And that article is actually quoting from another article which was featured in the LA Times. They're the ones that did the real work, the CIA work, to get to the bottom of this very apparent flaw in Justin Baldoni's character. And I gotta agree, because when I watch his videos, I'm like, my cousin is way too positive. It's toxic. And I never thought that this could be a term that could be used to dissuade the public against somebody. And here's a quotation from that article. It reads, "But to some observers, his public gestures, such as filming himself giving clothing to a homeless man or asking employees to sign their emails with the phrase, 'so much love,' it felt performative, aimed at self-branding as much as bringing about genuine change." One employee says, off record, quote, "It was constant positivity all the time. I would say toxic positivity," end quote, said one former Wayfarer staffer. They continue, quote, "I'm always a little bit dubious of people who advertise themselves as disruptors of the status quo or quote unquote good people."
Important information regarding the protective orders in the case was disclosed by Candace. Justin's team wants a simple order, keeping important information out of the public eye, while Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds advocate for more protection.
The judge is willing to limit the case to a standard protective order for all the text messages and emails that are received during the course of subpoenas, which both sides have already agreed to, a standard protective order, or whether he will be issuing a rather extraordinary AEO, which stands for Attorney's Eyes Only Protection Order, which in many ways means that Judge Lehman would be removing himself as the judge of what the public should have access to, right? It would allow the respective attorneys to remove that power from the judge because they could just mark whatever they want AEO. Like, this is what is allowed to be seen by only the attorneys. And you can't even show Justin Baldoni, you can't show Blake Lively, and we can just mark whatever document we want to AEO. And I have been, I think rather accurately, referring to this as the Taylor Swift protective clause, right? Well, Judge Lehman, while he hasn't made a final decision just yet in this matter, has come out and accurately assessed exactly what this case is. He's calling it a war between PR firms.
Blake Lively wants further protection to protect her private texts, not simply a protective order. It appears that the primary reason Blake and Ryan are advocating for further protections is to conceal their celebrity chats.
Today's dramatic courtroom showdown, and there's no cameras there, so we're doing our best to recap about what happened. Lawyers squared off about whether or not private text messages from the A-list couple, Lively and Reynolds, should be shielded from public view. This is all amid fears that they could be leaked to the tabloids. And during the hearing, the couple's attorney, Meryl Gavinsky, argued passionately for an extra layer of security to keep sensitive information under wraps. And this is all connected to a proposal for a protective order that Lively's team had filed back on February 20th. And this is the reason the parties met in court today. Now, protective orders, generally speaking, they do a bunch of things, but Generally, they govern the disclosure of certain information in the case. And so today in court, as well as in the proposal for the protective order, Lively's team was requesting a designation called attorney's eyes only for certain materials. And this includes private text messages with other high-profile individuals, details about the couple's mental health, security measures they've taken during this ongoing feud. And Lively's attorneys are saying, look, we don't want anyone other than attorneys to have access to this information, hence the attorney's eyes only designation, which I'm going to explain a little bit more in a bit. But it basically means that anything that falls under that designation can't be viewed by anyone other than the attorneys.
Taylor Swift, who is allegedly implicated in the matter, is the subject of one of the most important communications Blake wishes to keep confidential. In order to avoid being exposed without the protective order, Blake and Ryan also mention vague health issues, which furthers the mystery. But are they trying to conceal something more sensational, or is this really about privacy?
And this is by Rolling Stones, Blake Lively wants to protect conversations with their famous friends amid Justin Baldoni lawsuit. Justin Baldoni's filings have already indicated that Taylor Swift was privy to some relevant events in the ongoing lawsuit between the actor, Lively, and her husband, Ryan Reynolds. Now, if you listened live, you might have the same opinion I do, which is Blake Lively's lawyers didn't really make a strong point. Now, they're the ones arguing for the protective order. Justin Baldoni's side is saying, look, why don't we do it on a case-by-case basis? We don't care about your security detail or any of those specifics, but to say you want a protective order, what if there's information between those text messages which shows that Blake Lively was operating in a way that is, very damning? Now, I'll tell you what. If the judge denies Blake Lively's protective order request, and then Blake Lively ends up dismissing her case or wants to settle, that, my friends, would be very, very interesting, because that would mean somebody doesn't want whatever on those text messages get out. In other news, Daily Mail also reporting Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds clash with Justin Baldoni again, as couple claim their profound medical issues are at risk of being leaked. Yeah, I know, but that's the deal, right? If you're going to claim that you are harassed and that you have all these mental health issues because of it, that stuff's going to come out in court, and I hate that for the instance where I hate that innocent people feel like they don't want to be dragged through court because of what might come of that. But at the same time, Justin Baldoni was dragged publicly.
Brian Friedman, Justin's attorney, isn't keeping quiet. He contends that granting the protection order creates a risky precedent that separates the public from celebrities. What does it say about justice and equity if celebrities receive preferential treatment?
I would argue, and so would his lawyer, I think, that Taylor Swift's communications with her former dragon keeper are of high interest and relevancy to this case. The plantation princess herself repeatedly talked publicly about what an important role Taylor played in the creative process. There is video of her talking about that. The parties in this case, says a lawyer for Team Delulu, on both sides include people whose entire living is made off providing information to the press and content creators. There are 100 million reasons for these parties to leak information because the PR value is greater than complying with the court's orders.
According to Candace, Blake stayed out of court in the hopes that Justin's reputation would suffer without her being involved. But now that Justin has retaliated, she finds herself in a difficult situation.
However, Brian Friedman, the lead attorney for Justin Baldoni, who's also my lawyer and has not given me anything here at all, not once, but taken my money in the past, a lot of it. Brian Friedman, his lawyer, says that it is offensive that anyone would suggest that we would disregard a protective order. Friedman does not think an attorney's eyes only designation is necessary. Friedman argued that Lively and Reynolds' plan would unjustly treat celebrity people and people who are powerful in the industry different from other people.
Candace doesn't fall for it. She thinks Blake only intended to damage Justin's reputation and never intended to see the case through to the end. However, after he retaliated, things rapidly got out of hand.
Ryan Friedman, the lawyer on this case, is not kidding.
I don't know what you heard about me.
Now he decided to flat out release the scene in question, basically the climax of Blake Lively's abuse lawsuit. Here is the first clip where you're going to hear them talking, both of them talking about their husbands. This is so weird. Take a listen.
They win!
Oh my gosh, we don't shut up.
And Emily and I have we have these moments where
staring. You just stare.
Literally we've done it for 5 minutes. it's like,
how is this allowed? Literally, I'm just asking the question, how are women allowed to do this, to take something and to make it sound like you survived a rape? Because that's what it sounded like to the public. Blake Lively was such a brat that her and Ryan Reynolds specifically requested during the premiere that they so did not want him to attend his own movie. This should have been his biggest night, premiering this movie that him and his studio decided to purchase as a book and adopt it into a film. They made him and his family sit in the basement because she was just so uncomfortable around him.
Blake Lively's legal action is the cause of the crisis, and he is now making it public. Both are heard talking about their spouses in the first leaked recording, which is a surprising and extremely rare turn of events.
Interestingly enough, all right, guys, we are in the midst of some crazy PR games right now coming from Blake Lively's side. So I became aware a couple of weeks ago that somebody in Blake Lively's camp was shopping around what they claimed to be HR complaints to various tabloids and publications, namely TMZ, Daily Mail, and the New York Post, sending them these HR complaints saying these were real and these were ignored, all painting Justin Baldoni to be a monster, okay? Interestingly enough, all of these publications, which are known to just publish whatever, they publish things about me that are completely untrue, they don't care about defamation or anything like that, all declined to publish this. Main reasons being that these complaints coming in were heavily redacted, and yet when they reached out to the person that was shopping them and was like, hey, we have some basic questions about this, why are you blacking out the dates? Why are you blacking out the complainants? They got a little iffy on the details, and they didn't want to take the risk for potentially being sued for defamation without being able to legitimately confirm that these were real complaints. Now, if you're a PR agent and you are desperately trying to get out these complaints for your clients, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, to help change the environment of everybody who's calling them out on their BS, what do you do next? You can't get any of the big guys to publish it, so you start leaking to TikTokers, independent journalists, because you view these people to be stupid, right? So you're like, okay, they'll absorb the risk, they'll definitely publish this if they think that they have an exclusive. And essentially that's what's happened. They started shopping this around to independent journalists, and I'm now going to show you the complaints that they've been shopping around.
How on earth is this taking place? It's amazing how a situation can be worded to give the impression that someone escaped a horrifying attack, since that's precisely how the public perceived it. According to reports, Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively even pleaded with Justin Baldoni to skip his own film premiere in an attempt to keep him away. It should have been a career high point, a movie he and his business made based on a novel. But because Blake allegedly felt uncomfortable around him, he and his family were forced to spend their celebrations in the basement. The worst part is that, despite Blake and Ryan's demands for seclusion, Candace alleges that Blake's team has been covertly disclosing dubious HR grievances in an effort to damage Justin's reputation.
Lawyers for Baldoni & Co., they filed a letter with the judge overseeing this case, the Honorable Louis J. Lyman, and they argued that these subpoenas from Blake Lively, they are way too overbroad. They claim that Lively was seeking, quote, all documents concerning ingoing and ongoing calls or text messages related to phone number, and it's redacted, belonging to each of the individuals, Wayfair parties, some of their employees, various non-party individuals, including but not limited to call logs, text logs, data logs, and cell site location information. They argued that the subpoenas seek such information over a period of multiple years, in most cases spanning from December 1st, 2022 to the present. And they wrote in their letter to the judge, it is hard to overstate how broad, invasive, and atypical these subpoenas truly are. This is civil litigation, not a criminal prosecution, and the Lively parties are not the FBI. Yet the subpoenas seek not only the complete call and text history of each of the targets over a period of several years, no matter the sender, recipient, or subject matter, but also, over the same period, real-time location information and data logs reflecting, among other things, web browsing history. This would include, of course, materials protected from disclosure by a laundry list of statutes and privileges, among them the attorney-client privilege, the spousal privilege, and the physician-patient privilege. Moreover, the information sought by the subpoenas is widely disproportionate to the needs of the case and unnecessarily invades the privacy of untold numbers of third parties, including family, friends, business partners, and quite literally any other person with whom any of the targets have communicated with over a period of years. And they called this, quote, a flagrant abuse of the discovery process.
Owens has criticized Blake Lively for being dishonest in his desire for privacy while pursuing invasive subpoenas against Justin Baldoni. Luckily for Justin, the court turned them down. According to Owens, Blake's aggressive legal tactics conflict with his need for privacy. In the end, it seems that the court didn't like that control was more significant than justice.
I am dying to know what is in these messages with Taylor Swift. It's just crazy to me, the length that they are going through to protect these messages. It is indicating that there is something way darker in my view. And again, I did this whole thread over the weekend where I was basically just opening up to you guys, or just not even opening up, but revealing to you guys a lot of the stuff in Hollywood. It's just not what it seems. And I know this. Unfortunately, fortunately, I've been friends with a lot of people, a lot of power players in Hollywood. For example, it is 1000% true that there are fake relationships and there are trade-ups. I spoke about this on my Instagram, which is to say there are people who date other people because they want to hide the fact that they're gay. That 1000% happens. These beard relationships that are set up by agencies. And it's not because they don't think Hollywood is LGBTQ friendly. If you're a part of my book club, we're going to get to the next book that we read is Hollywood Babylon, which is about the founding of Hollywood. It was always extraordinarily gay, lesbian, lavender couples, gay men marrying lesbian women so that they could hide that they were gay or that they were lesbians as they began to impact culture. It's a fascinating book that's written by Kenneth Anger. We'll get there. But the reasons why they hide those relationships today is not because they're fearful of coming out of the closet. This is not the 1970s, but it's because they're fearful of how it will impact their career.
Candace finally disclosed that she is excitedly awaiting the publication of the text messages exchanged between Taylor Swift and Blake Lively. According to her, Blake might be devastated by these messages, possibly even ruined. What these messages contain is entirely a matter of conjecture. Given her history, Candace may have a point when she says that she is ready for the truth to be revealed. It's unclear if the public will ever see these discussions. That concludes everything. After hearing from Candace Owens, it's evident that more is going on behind the scenes than we initially believed. What are your thoughts? Is Blake Lively's request for seclusion legitimate? Or is there another factor at work? For the most recent information on this developing drama, please leave your thoughts in the comments section, and remember to *** like and subscribe ***. As the story progresses, we'll update you. *** until the next time. ***.